Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between TTI and DuskBinF91 here on Tal'Darim Altar. The first time I cast the first, I think, like 3 minutes of this game before I realized that my microphone was muted, so I obviously now am recasting the game for you guys, and hopefully you guys can hear me, and also the live streamers can also view me as well. I did get a Justin TV account in order to be able to post up some of the matchups that you guys want to be able to see as quickly as possible, especially with that upcoming tournament. The tournament is currently going on, but none of the games have been sent to me yet, so I'm not able to cast them. As soon as they are up, I will let you know. We have TTI or TT1 spawning here as the green Protoss player at the 4 or 5 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we are F91, DuskBinF91 spawning as the blue Zerg on the top right-hand side of the map. Now, based upon the positioning and this early pylon here, it most likely will be a Forge fast expansion coming in from the Protoss player. A very, very safe build, just because you are able to establish and defend your natural expansion very easily, and you also know that your Zerg opponent most likely will be going for a 14 hatchery as well. So yeah, a 14 hatchery, very, very important as I try to move, moving that one particular doodad over here away. And yeah, that is from that live stream, and you could probably see it on the YouTube video, just trying to get it away so I can actually see what's going on in the top right hand corner. A Forge now being warped in finally, as an Overlord now making its way down over here. I did say that 4-gate expansions or a 4-gate pressure normally works well on this map, but not very often against Zerg. The reason why is that the Zerg player normally gets an Overlord pretty far outside into the base and is able to keep track of a lot of things that's going on. By putting this Overlord here, he's able to essentially keep track to see if a proxy pylon has been placed here. And when your proxy pylon is not close enough to actually warp in units straight into the battlefield, the Zerglings and the Queens who are on creep can usually reinforce rather quickly. We are, however, seeing an early extractor followed by a spawning pool from F91, so this is not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting a hatchery first, and now TT1 may be in a little bit of trouble. He needs to get a photon cannons, and lots of them, very, very quickly, as now we see the Overlord now coming in, and will be able to gain a lot of sight. This one photon cannon currently warping in as well. About halfway done so far, but I believe the Overlord should be able to get far enough away just in time. Yeah, a range of 7, and I forgot to turn down the flyer helper marker. Let me go ahead and do that right now. If you guys did not know, you guys can show flyer helpers in order to see where the actual unit is. So I can see, there he goes, you can see the flyer helper, and then that's actually where the unit is in the space. So even though the photon cannon looks like it's within range, the little dot underneath is what it needs to really hit, and that's just out of range. We do see a hatchery now down over here, a probe now trying to fight back, but quickly losing that battle as the front door seal has been completed. A gateway just in time, and double photon or one photon cannon here, another pylon here, and this is really working out well for TT1. He is going to have a very strong economy going into the mid game. As this was canceled. So a gateway was canceled and then rewarped in as a cybernetics core. So that one gateway was just a placeholder in order to make sure that those Zergans were not able to run by. Canceled for a split second and then rewarped in. He did lose a little bit of those minerals in the refunding, but it definitely helps him out as he's not going into a double gateway build. Now warping in another photon cannon as well, making it even more difficult. If roaches try to put pressure on this door, it will not be successful either. You can see the Zerglings want to try to test that front door, but it is not going to work out. Another gateway now being warped in, as the level 1 weapons upgrade should be coming in relatively quickly by the Protoss player in order to get a lot of damage onto those units. We are getting a sentry. The sentry, obviously, with those force fields, will be able to get a lot of effectiveness, and a Zergling just within combat range finally being forced to pull away. If you guys did not hear, the pylon range is going to be reduced from 7.5 down to 6.5. So the pylon power radius will be significant or slightly lower. Also, it will allow marauders and stalkers in order to be able to shoot down at a pylon very easily if that pylon is trying to power back up onto that high ground. Pylons now being warped in over here We see F91 currently just flying in with an Overlord, and you also see another hatchery being built at the 12 or 11 o'clock location. So F91 already going for a third base, and that is not your typical third base. This is your normal typical third base. So it will be quite some time before F91 even, or sorry, TT1 even scouts that out, and it will be quite some time before F91 is able to even transfer drones across this distance. It is quite a long walking distance through open field, and 1 or 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers would be able to gain sight of that relatively quickly. We are getting one queen down over here as well, another queen over here, and now we just going into that Roach Warren. The Roach Warren perhaps trying to put some pressure onto the front door. TT1 currently going into a 4-gate build now, 2 additional gateways being warped with inside the base, and also full gas over here at the main base as well. Meanwhile, only 2 gas play coming in from the Zerg, as he has not built extractors at his natural expansion, nor has he built extractors here at the 11 o'clock location. Most likely this one particular hatchery is just going to be getting a lot of drones, and that is about it. Let's see. Yeah, oh wow, all 3 hatcheries are currently transferring drones to that location, trying to maximize the amount of drones that are able to be harvesting from here immediately, and that should give him a slight economic boost. You can see there is a slight economic boost. He is behind in gas, but overall he is currently harvesting about 100 resources more per minute. TT1 now getting a lot of sentries, and by this current army composition, I would say that a robotics facility should be warping in just a second, and then also trying to go for Colossi, but no, trying to prove me wrong, always proving me wrong. It is going to be a Stargate with Phoenixes instead. 5 Phoenixes able to get a lot of damage, and now the sentries were trying, I believe, able to shoot down a Zergling over here. Not quite sure where that Overlord was. I know there's a scouting Overlord that did pull back just a little bit, but at least we'll be able to see any units that try to come in, try to move along this backside here. Now, F91 sitting on 58 drones, continuing to power drone, training up 4 drones at a time, and this game is just a game of Sim City, Sim StarCraft, building up the largest possible army. And I can't believe that TT is just allowing F91 to macro up so freely. This is going to definitely hurt, as Zerg is able to really produce a lot of units, especially off of multiple hatcheries. We're going to have 4 hatchery production, and I'm still curious as to when this particular destructible rocks will get taken down. If F91 wants to at least confuse his opponent, these rocks should start to at least be destroyed or suffer some damage, so that TT1 knows that, oh, okay, that hatchery should be coming into play sometime soon. We are also getting an Overseer. The Overseer does not have the pneumatized carapace, but in comes the Phoenixes are ready and getting a lot of damage already. We are getting one Spore Crawler, and the Phoenixes are just shooting away, and now multiple Queens have been taken down. That is going to be heavy losses, as the Overlords are now trying to pull back. TT1 doing a great job just utilizing these Phoenixes, and those Phoenixes are just going to continue to eat apart multiple Overlords, as those Overlords now trying to get within range of this one Spore Crawler. We are getting a pneumatized carapace, but the carapace is about 20 seconds away, and that is still a lot of damage to be had. 1,300 resources already lost, and things are now just starting to hurt more and more. Zealots and Stalkers eventually need to destroy this one particular gateway in order to make their way out. The Overlords finally have the pneumatized carapaces in order to be able to move much more freely. And are these Phoenixes gonna... they did not spot this hatchery here, so perhaps now expecting that there's nothing left. And now this one particular Queen, I thought was going to get Graviton Beamed in just a moment, and now TT1, perhaps not realizing about this one particular hatchery, thinks that he is significantly in the lead. Income-wise, you can still see the Zerg slightly ahead, 500 resources more a minute, just because of the additional mineral patches. And now you can see that TT1 does see that there is an Overlord here. I don't know why he is not going to shoot it down. He should be shooting it down. And is the creep going to reveal him? No, the creep does not reveal, but 2 Zerglings now making their way out. And does TT1 actually spot the Zerglings? They spot the Zerglings, but didn't wonder where they came from. That is an absolute mistake by the Protoss player at this stage in the game. As these destructible rocks have been cleared out, a Zergling now sees that the rocks are cleared down and quickly quickly taken down by those Zealots. A Nexus will be coming into play there. And now taking a look into the air, we are going into Colossi, and Colossi with Phoenixes is such a strong combination. It is a strong combination just because those Phoenixes absorb damage from those Corruptors, and now in come these particular Phoenixes. Once more, the Phoenixes, did they spot the creep? No, they did not spot the creep once more, as the units are getting destroyed over here, and now the Phoenixes are now finally revealing this location here. One already down, another, more damage could be dealt, perhaps more Spore Crawlers, another Queen getting sniped down, and Roach is still being added. We are finally getting Hydralisks, but the Hydralisks are going to come out just in time to only get absolutely destroyed by Colossi. Another Queen now once again getting Graviton Beam, needs to get dropped down, and now those Phoenixes are now being forced to push or pull back once more. We do see a Hydralisk over here quickly getting destroyed there, and no weapons upgrade just quite yet. Hydralisk with Groove Spines, and there are a decent number, 5 Hydralisks now out. And as more and more Hydralisks are getting added to this army, the Phoenix's days are essentially numbered, but the production still shows Colossi getting added to that army, Zealots still getting added even further, no charge yet, and going for Blink first. So interesting going for Blink, as the charge on the Zealot does allow him to close in on that distance and also move as a much more significant ball. You can see how difficult it is to see units in a Protoss ball. The Phoenixes, Colossi, Zealots, and Stalkers all stacking up on top of each other. That is about 100 food worth of units sitting right there. So difficult to spot. And now we are going to get some Hydralisk and Roaches moving out. And F91, I believe he cannot just stand here and try to deal that damage back. The Colossi are going to be able to get a lot of damage in very early. The Roaches do not have Tunneling Claws. They do not have Burrow at all, as the Zergling's perhaps going to try to flank. And now 91, or the Zerg player, just trying to out-expand and trying to win the game through pure expansion. Zerglings and Roaches now coming in along the backside here and getting some damage onto some of these probes. The probes are not going to be able to mine at all, but the damage is going to be dealt as those Roaches desperately trying to run away, and they are able to run back, get some damage onto those pursuing Zealots. And those Zealots are now getting sniped down, but the Roaches are perhaps going to get Graviton beamed in just a moment there, trying to go after some of those Stalkers, and now going to get cleaned up one at a time. The Protoss army sitting at about 10,000 resources compared to 4,000 by 91, and with Corruptors and Roaches now being added, those Roaches only cost 100 resources each, so that is not going to really catch up in terms of that battle. The Corruptors, on the other hand, cost a significant amount of resources, and they are going to be trying to move out in just a moment, but I think TT1 is simply just going to be able to attack move with this very strong Protoss death ball. And now the Corruptors are in the air as well. The Corruptors are going to fight back. The Corruptors are trying to engage back over here. The Corruptors are focusing down many of those Colossi. One Colossi is down. A second Colossus is going to get taken down as well. But as soon as the Corruptors are down, there's not much more that they can do. The Phoenixes are just there as a distractionary measure, as the Stalkers and Sentries are both sides battling it out. You can see the armies are starting to even out just a little bit further. The Corruptors are finishing off those units, and we are now getting the level 3 weapons upgrade, but the Roach army is going to be coming in very quickly, and the Stalkers here are not that much. The Roaches are now going to try to perhaps engage. There are a decent number of Stalkers and Zealots. They are upgraded 2-1, almost 3-1, as 2 Roaches running to certain death there. More Roaches running to certain death, as reinforcements now coming very quickly. What is going to be happening? Is the standing army large enough? 3,000 versus 5,000. I do not think it's going to be enough there. The Corruptors would like to morph into Broodlords to help in with that army. There are Zerglings and Hydralisks now coming in, and with all that many Sentries in this group, that is going to be a definite issue, as the Stalkers are going to have issues. Hydralisks now battling it out. Force fields coming in, not that much, but there, Blink now coming in as well, and now flanking from the other side. The Roaches now trying to run back up onto the high ground. Both sides coming in. Zerglings now coming in from the back as well. Hydralisks moving very slowly, and now trying to flank the positions. Hydralisks are upgraded 2-1, blinking straight into that group there. But F91 still doesn't have a large enough army to deal with the Stalkers here, as they're being microed and being pulled back. And now TT1, perhaps thinking that he has his opponent contained, doesn't realize there is another hatchery over here that needs another queen in order to keep up with production still. But the army sizes are starting to even out. The creep tumors have all been destroyed, so there is not much of a creep highway left. Production-wise, 8 more Hydralisks being added. Taking a if you look at, oh, you do not, no hotkey for hatcheries. Oh, come on. Do I have to do this all myself? How much larva is available? 15 larva, 26 larva across multiple hatcheries, so he should be able to at least train up a lot of units very quickly as long as he has the resources. Drones now being transferred to the 1 o'clock expansion location, the Destructible Rock expansion location, as there is now running off of 2 bases compared to essentially 3. This one base is currently not being mined out at all. Roaches and Hydra still being added. Level 2 Carapace upgrades in addition to the Infestation Pit now being built. Roaches, Zerglings, and Hydralisks, a decent army size here, but it is significantly less in terms of gas than TT1s. TT1s perhaps just going to attack with that Protoss ball, but there are no Colossi in that group, so that is going to be a significant blow. Are Colossi in production? No Colossi in production, so the sentries are going to have to really cast a lot of force fields in order to fend off that attack, but now in comes Zerglings taking down multiple of these probes over here. The Zealots are not going to get taken down, and now TT1 is in a bit of trouble, losing perhaps some of these probes over here, slowing down the mining, and now the main army is once again on the move. Very open field. Roaches are 2-1, almost 2-2, about 1/3 of the way, and now the Zealots are now trying to fight back. The Zealots still do not have charge, so this is going to be a very difficult battle here as the Zerglings now pushing in, getting a lot of damage. There in come the force fields, and now more force field trying to come in as well as the Stalkers are blinking in order to avoid some of that damage. And the Hydralisks still have a decent range of 6, able to get a lot of damage here. Roaches continuing to push. The Immortals dancing in the backfield, unable to join in on the fight. So the Stalker army actually getting in the way. The losses are still higher for F91 at this stage, but you also have to remember that F91 has been out-resourcing his opponent throughout this match. Army-wise, it is still fairly even. When you take a look at the grand scale or the grand army sizes, the Roaches, however, taking a beating for no real reason other than they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Being miscued or misrallied point absolutely sucks. TT1 backing off with these units once more. And these Stalkers and Sentries and Zealots still moving around the map. We are going to get some Zerglings now trying to run in over here. Not going to be able to get that much damage as the Zerglings now backing off. The Stalkers able to blink in, zeroing on those Zerglings. But reinforcements are already underway, and these Zerglings are not going to really get any damage onto this base at all. So yeah, no real chance there. A lot of chrono boost still left as the Stalkers and Immortals and Sentries are moving out. The Stalkers are a bit out of position since they do move a little bit more quickly than the rest of that army there. TT1 being very careful that he is not does not leave those Sentries and those Immortals behind. The units are now making their way over here. Zerglings are going to quickly be spotted filing down that ramp as the Stalker's now going to warp in and blink in, perhaps trying to get some damage onto that Spine Crawler, but this may be an issue now as the units and the Zerglings are now going to be able to catch an open field. He'll gladly trade one expansion for another as those Zerglings are now going to be rushing into this location. Multiple Zealots are being warped in as well as the Infestors are now joining in on that army. Hydralisks as well with those Zerglings, and is enough damage going to be dealt? This one hatchery simply getting destroyed, and oh, the Stalkers would be able to easily blink down here onto that low ground and destroy this particular hatchery as well. That would be a very brilliant move. We'll see if TT1 actually goes for it or if he's going to get caught out of position trying to walk down these ramps, and it looks like that is going to be the case. No, that is not the case. He saw a little bit of the army and doesn't want it. As Dark Templars now being added. Dark Templars, such a nice addition. The only thing that F91 can do is now perhaps use fungal growth to reveal them. And now the Dark Templars now slashing apart the Infestors. The Infestors are now going to try to run for their lives. Are they going to get a fungal growth off is the key issue, as the Dark Templars are now just trying to chase after those units there. And now an Overseer most likely in production. There it is. There's the Overseer. And one of the benefits of Zerg, the fact that they can have an Overseer essentially wherever an Overlord is and get there in a hurry. The Overseer also does move significantly quickly here on the map, so it is able to catch up to those Dark Templars relatively easily. Income-wise, 1400 versus 700 at this stage. These mineral patches essentially mined out, so it is one base versus one base plus a mineral patch, and that is a serious issue. Where are those drones? I thought I saw a group of drones. There you go. The drones now making their way out towards this nexus, or towards perhaps another base. Once again, the Overseers looking to get some damage here. The Stalkers are down over here, and it's going to be very difficult to perhaps get a flank. The Fungal Growth's now going to come in. There's 1-2 Fungal Growths, and the damage is going to be dealt to reduce the shields, but not much more than that. And perhaps another Fungal Growth hitting down more of those units. Dark Templars, Zerglings, and Stalkers, both sides battling it out as the Overseers now rushing in. But I think the sentries are going to be more than enough. The Stalkers really splitting up this army. Colossi now once again being re-added with no Corruptors in sight to slow down that army. You can see Hydralisks and Roaches are being added back in, but the incomes are just too much of a difference now, especially as this mineral patch has been able to mine freely for far too long. Drones now doing long distance mining, that walk of shame that I talk about so often. That shouldn't really be happening. There are a decent number of drones over here, but it is giving a little bit of a boost to the economy, as so many drones are still just mining back and forth. One more long-term round trip coming in, as there are a bunch of zealots as changelings as part of this group, so nicely done, those changelings. However, do move the same speed as those zealots, just because they do not have those zealot leg upgrades. So another way to try to see that those units are not part of your army, just have those have the zealot leg upgrades, and you can see that the zealots are lagging behind the rest of your zealots, and that does help out. So those changelings now catching up with this group, and we'll see what will be happening in just a moment. The observers should be able to actually, are observers able to spot changelings? I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. They are able to spot hallucinations, but not Zerglings. As the Infestors are going to be out of position. There's the Fungal Growth, and now a lot of Infested Terrans have been spawned already. Fungal Growth needs to be continued to be cast here, and TTI in a bit of trouble, as that is a lot of Fungal Growth, a lot of Stalkers absolutely destroyed, and now only Colossi are left. Colossi and Stalkers, that is a very heavy blow to this army, but there's the GG by F91. Wow, I saw how much damage those chain fungal growths were able to do, and I thought for a moment perhaps enough damage could be dealt, and as I take a look at the volume, I realize perhaps there is no cast. There's no microphone. But anyways, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between TT1 and DuskBinF91 here on Tal'Darim Altar.